Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this UNESCO Forum on Media and Information Literacy, Building Resilience for the Futures of Learning. We should say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on which part of the world you are connecting from. Thank you again for joining this dialogue. Tackling disinformation and promoting peace is on the minds of everyone. Tackling disinformation and promoting peace are two global issues on the minds of everyone. How can media and information literacy help to build people resilience for learning? Why should media and information literacy be on everyone's mind? Why should media and information literacy be on everyone's minds? I invite you to watch this short video introducing our eloquent, dynamic speakers, many of whom who have invested many years in promoting media and information literacy globally. After this video, we will have an opening statement, which is a video message from Mr. Tawfiq Jalasi, he was the Assistant Director General for Communication and Information at UNESCO. So two short videos. First video introducing the speakers, giving you a frame of what we'll be discussing. And then our Assistant Director General, Mr. Tawfiq Jalasi from UNESCO, will set the stage and with an opening statement via video. Now for the opening statement from our Assistant Director General.
Mesdames et messieurs, chers partenaires.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear partners, it's my pleasure to welcome to you at the virtual expo of UNESCO on Media and Information Literacy, which is being held at Expo Dubai 2022. Media and information literacy is a key element. It's a number of competencies for those who have rights and responsibilities for them to be able to navigate our knowledge societies, which is continuously evolving. The large amount of information which is available today, especially online, gives unprecedented access and choices. However, it can be an obstacle to the critical use of this information and content. Media and information literacy is a key concept which is promoted by UNESCO. It includes competencies of access, interaction, creation with online and offline content, with the use of critical thinking. It also helps us to gain knowledge about our digital rights and gives us information about different types of content. The various parties are affirming more and more the need to reinforce the competencies and skills of people when it comes to media and information literacy. This is why this issue must remain an agenda and a priority on the international development agenda. Today at Dubai Expo 2020, we will talk about the continued information of this. Dubai Expo 2020 adopts a holistic vision to create a better world in which we are better able to face the challenges that people and the planet face, while also promoting opportunities to connect people together and ensure a good future, to help people to build better futures that are truly sustainable and inclusive. We need to come together through concerted action, and we need to work simultaneously, locally, regionally, and also internationally. Media and information literacy can be put to the service of achieving this vision. I would like to share with you three different perspectives on this. First of all, to connect minds, learning outside of the classroom must be linked to the learning one receives in the classroom. This is a challenge, but it can be facilitated by media and information literacy because this can be used in both formal and informal education. Second of all, building better futures can be achieved by the sharing of inspiring stories and real life stories told by people. It can also be achieved by raising awareness about how media and information literacy has enacted serious change in the way people think. Safeguarding freedom of expression guarantees that everyone can tell their story and share it with others. Third, connecting minds and building better futures will require cooperation between peoples, cultures, and nations. UNESCO, and for a very long time now, has provided a platform for intercultural and international communication, and the success of this approach has helped to make progress on the agenda of media and information literacy. Building confidence in order to develop is necessary in terms of media and information literacy.
The theme of today's session, which is media and information literacy, building resilience for the futures of learning, encapsulates the three perspectives which I just mentioned and which aim to connect minds and build better futures. It is time to popularize media and information literacy by everyone and for everyone. The recently launched second edition of the UNESCO Model Media and Information Literacy Curriculum for Educators and Learners, which is entitled Media and Information Literate Citizens, Think Critically, Click Wisely, offers a viable way to achieve this goal. It is with this approach that UNESCO supports its member states in strengthening institutional and human capacities for national media and information literacy policies and strategies. Another UNESCO resource supporting this work will soon be available, namely a massive open online course entitled Deep Dive for Policymakers in Media and Information Literacy. This MOOC is the first of its kind. Developed in cooperation with the United Nations University eGov and the Autonomous University of Barcelona in Spain, we look forward to seeing soon this new online course. Building resilience for the future of learning through media and information literacy involves citizens around the world in efforts to build peace. It includes fostering freedom of expression, diversity and equality, human rights, as well as promoting intercultural and interreligious dialogue. Before closing, I would like to thank the United Arab Emirates Ministry of Culture and the organizers of Expo Dubai 2020 for their cooperation, and also for hosting this event. I also would like to thank all participating speakers and partners of the UNESCO Media and Information Literacy Alliance and of the Media and Information Literacy Intercultural Dialogue University Network for their collaboration. Finally, I would like to invite all stakeholders to start planning for their participation and event organization around our Global Media and Information Literacy Week, which takes place annually the last week of October. This year, the theme will be Nurturing Trust, a Media and Information Literacy Imperative. The Global Feature Conference and Forum of 2022, and I would like to thank them for their fruitful collaboration. I am convinced that it will be a successful Global Media and Information Literacy Week. Thank you.
Welcome again. If you're just joining us, you have just heard from Mr. Tawfiq Jalasi, the Assistant Director General for Communication and Information here at UNESCO. You are at the right place at the UNESCO Forum and Virtual Exhibition at the Dubai Expo. The theme is Media and Information Literacy, building resilience for the futures of learning. Now, please ensure that you're on the right channel. We have interpretation in three languages: English, French, and Arabic. So please ensure that you're on the right panel. Again, if you're just joining us, we showed a video introducing all the speakers. We have 7 speakers from all over the world who will be embellishing, who will be speaking more and enlightening us with their experiences, case studies, and recommendations on the issues raised in the speech of the Assistant Director General just now. They'll be focusing on the theme media and information literacy, building resilience for the futures of learning. To achieve that, to achieve futures of learning supported and enabled by media and information literacy, as Mr. Tawfiq Jalasi pointed out, we need innovation, we need collaboration, and we need inspiration. These are three central approaches to the Dubai Expo, which we have adopted in this UNESCO forum and exhibition. And you'll be hearing from the speakers, as I said, from different parts of the world, sharing their ideas for innovation, their approaches to innovation. They will be inspiring you with their experiences, and they will also show you and demonstrate the power of collaboration to achieve media and information literacy for all. Now, without further ado, we are going to get right into hearing from the speakers, and we'll be starting with Miss Estrella Luna Munoz, who is the Media Arts and ICT Project Manager, Trainer, Educator, Education Programs Coordinator, and she's from Mexico. She's a youth representative that is also connected to the UNESCO Media and Information Literacy Alliance. And we're welcome to have you, Estrella. Quite often when we have conferences like these, we have the young person speaking last or somewhere. But today we decided to shift the paradigm a little bit and to invite our youth representative to inspire us with her experiences. Estrella, you've been working for some time in this area. So please speak to us on your perspective on the issues around the health pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic that we're slowly coming out of, how this impact young persons. What are your recommendations for engaging with young persons on media and information literacy? What has been your experiences and how media and information literacy can help young persons to be more resilient, to promote dialogue, and to participate actively in learning? The floor is yours, Estrella. You have 8 minutes to speak. And again, to the audiences, we will be having a section for question and answers. We want this session to be interactive, so please, you can post your questions on Facebook Live. If you're connected via Facebook Live, we welcome you. If you're connected by the UNESCO MilClicks platform, again, we welcome you. Post your questions. We'll be monitoring the chat on those platforms, and we look forward to hearing from you. So, Estrella, the floor is yours.
Hello, Adan. Thank you so much for the invitation, and good morning or good afternoon to everyone. So I will try to speak really fast because we have not enough time. So I will present some case studies and good practice in media and information literacy. I don't know if you can see my screen. You can see them. I don't know. Okay, I will continue. So first for all, the first question is where we are today and where is the young people today? how is the relationship of young people with social networks and mainly with confinement by any and after coronavirus. This is so important. So I bring here today, like in 2020, we have the mental health data about levels of depression, loneliness, and tension were higher in younger age than in older age groups. This because the lockdown. This is important because in 2021, we asked to several young people about what are the most important challenges for the young in the post-pandemic world. And in the international conference that we did, like about conscious and resilient young people the last year in 2021, they told us about we need balance, we need transcending individualism, ecosystem regeneration, like we are seeing now, and conversation. As well, in the University of Illinois in Chicago, on March 21, they shared about we need resilience, we need more dialogue, we need new stories, a different kind of curriculum, we need support. There are a lot of anxiety and we need how to deal about this with young people. We need just an open mindedness. And as well in Portugal in July 2021, we asked how can we motivate the students? And young adults want their opinion to be considered important, and we need to listen. That's most important thing. We need the young participation. And the third point, in 2022, what is happening now, we have that young people between 16 and 24 years of age spend the most time using the internet and social media, more than other ages. So we found that excessive use of social networks can aggravate an existing problems like self-esteem, like sleeping problems, like family problems, different kind of problems that we already know that exist. But the thing is that not everything is negative. Not the internet or technology is negative, but depends on the use on media. So we are living these three big things. We are living in a deep mediatization with a lot of internet dangers that we already know. We have conflicts and hate speech that creates radicalization, intolerance, racism, and online violence. So with all of this, we have the ubiquitous digital technologies are changing how young people communicate, socialize, and learn. That's why today, more than ever, we need meal and lifelong learning skills because we are living with a lot of change all the time and more after a pandemic period. So I bring here knowledge, skills, and attitude that joined with media and information literacy and lifelong learning, we can work with this about creativity, motivation, leadership, adaptability that is most important today. Also self-awareness and self-management is also important to connect with media and information literacy. We have intercultural dialogue and communication, problem solving about the pluralism also is important, collaboration about the analysis of media. And with all of these knowledge, skills, and attitudes, we are working sustainable development goals. Also, I'm going to show you some practice and case studies with the 4 pillars of lifelong learning. Learning to know, learning to do, learning to live together, and learning to be. So learning to do, we did some activities about well-being, about understanding media dangers, and we asked to our students about the well-being at school and the personal well-being. We have to connect together and work with media and information literacy. As well, we work about self-awareness, self-management. Even with remote work, we have to learn how to adapt and transform all this in media. So use media in a different way to connect and communicate with the students. Learning to do, we learn how to manage media, the safe and critical use, production, and creation of media. So for our new generation, the difference between the real world and the digital world is not existent. So that's why it's important to use what we already have. In this case, we love the young people love to use apps. So we need to use them. For example, TikTok was created in the pandemic period, and maybe will be another different kind of apps in the future, but we have to use in a different way. We have to dialogue about actual topics that the youth is interesting, but use them because it's a way to catch their motivation. So we talk about the innovation, and maybe the innovation is not create a different way. It's just make a different use and an attractive way to the young participate with media. So we have a learning to live together. We do different kind of action about intercultural dialogue that is so important, pluralism, respect, and resilience that we need more than ever. We create, for example, in Portugal, digital animation, stop motion techniques, always with the available technology, because we know that not everywhere we have the last technology. So with the available technology, even with a cell phone, with a tablet, with a computer, we can create different kind of actions. Also, and the most important thing with the topics that they are interested, which are the warriors that they have about discrimination, domestic violence, immigrants, internet dangers for children, for example, the employment, child poverty, respect for cultural difference, and other topics that they can discuss. Learning to be, we have to practice digital citizenship. Participatory culture is important with the community, and this is about collaboration. It's not only with the school, it's with the community, with the students, with all the participants in the context that they live. So, for example, I share here, this is announcement for Students' Assembly about the wars that we are living today. So Students' Assembly warns all students that we cannot believe everything we see in the media. We know that this situation in Ukraine touched us all, but we cannot force anyone to help or criticize those who help. We cannot forget about human rights, and that also we find ourselves in different situations and positions. Deep down, we are all equal and we must all have the right freedom. That's why it's important to hear them. The inspiration are there. So we need to learn it through doing and through the experience of doing. We have to practice active and participation with young people and do more digital citizenship. So to end, building resilience for the future of learning, we have to promote digital citizenship, safe and critical use of media, of course, intercultural dialogue that we need more. We need to practice what is peace, self-awareness, democratic governance, and finally pluralism. So these are some of the actions that we can share with young people, and we want to share with you today. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for Estrella Luna Munzo. You have just heard, if you're just joining us from Mexico, youth representative. She has, effectively captured, the UNESCO strategy on youth, where we see young people not just as benefactors or beneficiaries, I should say, of media and information literacy, but rather as co-creators, co-leaders, co-developers of media and information literacy and peer educators of media and information literacy. And she has just illustrated that in the work that she has been doing, over the years. Thank you so much, Estrella. Congratulations in having achieved your PhD studies. No, you're a doctor. Munoz. So again, congratulations. We're happy to be working with you. You highlighted not only about collaboration, inspiration, innovation, but issue of pluralism, respect, and resilience as we engage with youth, and the importance to listen to young people, to dialogue with them about what are the topics that are of importance to them as we promote media and information literacy for all globally. So thank you for your presentation. And with that, we will move to our second speaker, Professor Santiago Tejador, who is editor and director at the Department of Journalism and Communication and Science at the Faculty of Communication at Autonomous University of Barcelona in Spain. The Autonomous University of Barcelona has been a long-standing partner of UNESCO promoting media and information literacy globally, literally globally. They have, co-financed and financed and support a lot of the work that we have been doing over the past 10 years. And we're very happy to have with us, Professor Santiago Tejadora and his colleague, also Professor Cristina Rodriguez. They will be sharing their presentation. They have about 8 minutes to speak to us. And we know that Professor, both professors, you're involved in looking at gamification and linking that to media and information literacy, to learning, to lifelong learning, to engage not just young people but adults through creative means and creative learning, finding creative ways for learning. So please, could you share with us your own research experiences about the importance of creativity, combining new technologies, combining gamification with media and information literacy learning for greater impact. The floor is yours to both of you, Professor Tejador, Santiago, and Professor Rodriguez. Cristina, thank you very much.
Hello, good morning. How are you? Thanks, Adan. We want to talk about different projects that we have developed here in the Autonomous University of Barcelona, but especially we want to explain a special project that we have prepared in the last months. It is a MOOC, a massive open course that we have designed for an autonomous and dynamic learning. And we think that it can be very interesting for you or for all the team that works with us related to media literacy and other areas engaged with the society. Cristina, if you want, we can share the presentation.
Yes. Yes. Okay, I will do a brief introduce for sharing the advances of this massive open online course, as Santiago said, and to share with you that this is a important goal that we are working, because one of the strategies that we have to promote is the training of government officials and policymakers, because as you know, sometimes we have many interesting strategies in a paper, but the other step is to implement. And as you know, policymakers are as key for this implementation of the different countries and also different cities. Then only to share some of these learning objectives that you can say that these policymakers needs to know all these things that we see in the screen. Learn about the origins of media and information literacy, understand the assessment, how we can assess the different typology that we can have, learn the importance of media and information literacy in society, all the things that we need to know for implementing these policies. And with only a 6 weeks course, people can train and can learn these strategies and go to the next step to implement them. Only to share some of the modules that we have, you can see in this screen, we are working all the key aspects of media and information literacy, but not also this, also we are learning, or we can learn how to implement. That is very important, because if not, all is some kind of abstract ideas, and the main force is to learn how to implement. Okay, then we would like to show you also that we now different experts of different countries participating with their knowledge for giving this overview of media and information literacy to implement in the different contexts. how it works. There is an structure that Santiago says that is very, I know, engaged, that can engage to the student. That also we have videos that, you know, that lectures as videos are more flexible for learning. If you have to stop, you can stop and to learn again. We have readings, of course, activities, and exercise. The evaluation is a test model, and for obtaining the final certification, you have to do this quiz and obtain the 80% of the right answers, and people get this certificate. As you know, I stop now the share. As we listen at the beginning, we have to launch. We are preparing this, and we are so proud to have all this content for training policymakers in the next months. Santiago, if you want to say something.
Thanks, Cristina. We think that this project for us is very important because on the one hand, we have prepared a general introduction for people that wants to know more about the media literacy and the possibilities of this field, but it's also an strategic tool to define projects and also to define strategies. And we thought, when we prepared the MOOC, we thought that it was very important to get information about other projects that people were doing around the world. So we think that it is the first MOOC that study this kind of subjects, and we are very happy because preparing this project with UNESCO for us, it has been very important, and now we all have to make an effort in order to look for people that wants to know more about these topics and participate in the MOOC. More or less, that's all. If you want us to answer your question, of course, we can do it, but we think that the most important now, if you want to help us, is to promote this kind of activities. And we have to, in order to amplify the content, we can find another projects. For instance, in Japan, we have here people from Japan, or Brazil, or even from Egypt. That's all. Thank you very much. Thanks, Cristina.
Okay, thank you, Santiago and Cristina, for your presentation. There we'll be hearing more about the massively open online course on media and information literacy for policymakers, deep dive in media and information literacy. We'll be hearing more about that, but in a different context from our partner, the United Nations, UNEGov University. As well, but they will be sharing a larger context around media and information literacy for all. But thank you so much for that input. Innovative approach around ensuring and increasing access to media and information literacy is necessary. We need to meet people where they are. They're busy. And one way to do that, to promote media and information literacy, is through massively open online courses. In fact, UNESCO, we have developed not just one, but languages in English, in Spanish, in Portuguese, and working with stakeholders all over the world. We have massively open online course for young people, for adults, for beginners, for journalists as well. And we have just finalized another innovative, massively open online course. It's called a radio-based MOOC. that's a little bit of an oxymoron there to talk about a MOOC which is radio based, because as we know, we still have close to 40%, over 40% of the world population that do not have access to the internet. And if you were to consider access to the internet in developing countries or least developing countries, then those percentages are much, much higher than 40%, perhaps 70, in some places 80% of populations of different countries and regions who do not have access to regular internet and stable internet connection. And so we still need to consider how we reach these populations and stakeholders with media and information literacy. And so one approach that UNESCO have devised is the massively open online course, radio-based MOOC. We have developed all the content, and we'll be launching this MOOC very soon. It is developed through podcast. We have worked with the UNESCO Media and Information Literacy Alliance, a number of members in the Alliance, number of partners from the side of government, civil society, academics, media partners as well have been involved in the MOOC. And so we ask you to follow our website to learn more about how you can engage with this rich content that we have developed for radio and podcast. Of course, the radio have also gone online, and so as I said, a large percentage of the world depending on radio for their daily communication, information, for connecting, for sharing, and to access local, international, and regional news. But radio stations have also gone online, and so we intend to use a lot of the content for podcast online as well. So just to give you a frame of the different types of massively open online course that UNESCO has developed, and we're looking still for partnerships to expand these MOOCs, the one that was mentioned by Santiago and Christina and many others, to expand these in multiple languages. And very soon, UNESCO will be launching a platform, a multimedia interactive dynamic platform on media and information literacy, which will become a sort of a communities of practice, but then bring together and curate different resources. It's kind of will be a sort of a one-stop shop in many languages, and helping people around the world who are involved in promoting media and information literacy at different levels of society to be able to access information on media and information literacy, to know what resources exist out there and how they can use these resources to curate and annotate some of the resources for them, but where they can come in and they can address issues to deal with research, with policy, with learning, with networking, with youth empowerment. So also look out for that innovative initiative that UNESCO is developing with our partners around the world, many of whom are connected here as well. Now, with that, we will move to our next speaker, Professor Shoot, Jessia Shoot, who is a professor at the Moulay Ismail University in Morocco, also a long-standing partner of UNESCO together with the Autonomous University of Barcelona. This university have been, founding members, founding partners in the UNESCO Media and Information Literacy and Intercultural Dialogue University Network, which is a very dynamic UniTwin network. UniTwin stands for University Twinning Program, where UNESCO combines and link up universities in the South with universities in the North, South-South cooperation, North-South cooperation, North-North cooperation, to develop collaborative knowledge around media and information literacy, but also intercultural knowledge, and to ensure that the work that we're doing is evidence-based, supported by research. So we're very happy to have Professor Shu Jessia with us. She will be speaking to us about how we can expand media and information literacy for all. She will try to focus not just on media and information literacy in everyday life, but how it relates to empowering students in their academic life as well, and their professional life, in how they engage with media, information, and digital technology. So again, the floor is yours, Dricia. I know that you will also be addressing issues around countering disinformation and the interdisciplinary approach that we need to engage in, how to address issues around extremism and this discrimination. We agree with you, and you will be speaking to us about the transformative approach that you and your university and the different partnerships around the world has been involved in. So please, the floor is yours, Jusia, and after that we will follow with intervention from Professor Sami Thai.
Thank you very much, Alton. It is a great honor for me to participate in this international, highly important event. My intervention goes in line, in fact, with the emphasis by the Assistant Director General of UNESCO, Dr. Tawfiq Jelasi, on the need to popularize media information literacy for everyone and everyone, to make effective use of the UNESCO MLI curriculum, think critically and click wisely, and of the UNESCO massively open online courses. It will touch upon elements introduced by Estrella, especially learning how to learn, self-awareness, and it will also touch upon some elements introduced by Santiago and Christina, especially related to artificial intelligence and active citizenship. So at a time of explosion of information and the threats of disinformation in a turbulent world, media information literacy has become an urgent need and a basic human right to be accessible and empowering to all, across curricula and age groups, as an integral part of quality transformative education for all. The aim of this presentation is to show that media information literacy is a fundamental requirement for building resilient generations of critical, reflective, and creative thinkers with independent judgment and agency, able to engage with media information and digital technology in meaningful and effective ways, and to engage with society with a democratic and participative mind. To show how these expectations from media information literacy can be transformed into action, I have the honor to share with you key components of the Media Information Literacy Program I have been teaching at Mulay Ismail University for undergraduate English studies students. Next slide, please. This presentation will be asked on 3 questions. First question, how does media information literacy empower students in their everyday academic and professional handling of information, media, and digital technology? Media information literacy enables students to seek, receive, and impart information in purposeful, responsible, and autonomous ways by equipping them with the abilities to identify information needs, locate and access the needed information, apply critical thinking to text, images, technology, and one's own self and way of reasoning, and synthesize information to use it effectively, ethically, and creatively, making the whole process both enjoyable and rewarding for academic achievement, personality development, and professional fulfillment. Question number 2, next slide, please. How does media information literacy empower students to be discerning and active citizens? In fact, one of the cornerstones of democracy, peace, and development is freedom of expression, which includes freedom of the press, the right of access to information, and the provision of public spheres for political deliberation. Media information literacy helps students to understand these relationships and the conditions under which these freedoms can flourish or be under threat. To understand the different types of media ownership and media systems, and to understand the nature and function of news, especially the two contrasting functions of news. The market approach, which puts profits first, and the adversarial approach, which puts public interest first. News literacy is of prime importance in this regard. In fact, understanding the process of news making is essential to realize that news does not mirror reality, and that the criteria of newsworthiness may disclose media bias because they are impacted by the lenses and values of journalists and their organizations. Hence, the importance of free, independent, and pluralistic media, and the necessity to diversify information.
This is the English interpreter. We have no sound.
I can't hear.
Oh, yes, we're not hearing you. Drissia, are you there?
You have not been hearing me throughout all this time?
No. We just lost you a few seconds, Drissia. No, we're hearing you. We lost you a few seconds. Just continue on news literacy. We heard everything you have said, but we lost you for about 10 seconds.
Because my mic was muted. So news literacy, news can be manipulated in many subtle ways, especially in contexts where the public interest and the watchdog function of the press are downplayed, and also in the case of state-controlled media and partisan journalism. In such cases, media outlets control access to information with the intention to raise public awareness only about issues that they want to place on the public agenda. Sometimes very important events are not reported at all, or they are partially reported, not covering all sides, which intentionally deprives audiences from their right of access to accurate and complete information that helps citizens to make sense of events and take informed decisions. Instead, pseudo events or entertaining news may be given priority to serve those in power or sponsors and help keep the status quo. Question 3, how can media information literacy counter disinformation and extremism? Building on the knowledge and skills acquired while dealing with the previous 2 questions, students know that they should get information from verified authoritative sources and cross-checked information, paying particular attention to facts and whether they are supported by sound evidence. Concerning this information, the first thing to note is that this information is not based on verifiable facts, nor is it based on sound evidence. It is lying to people with the intention to manipulate them. This information is different from misinformation, in which sharing of false information is done by error with no intention to harm, yet both are harmful because both circulate false information. The second thing is to make distinction between individuals' disinformation and state-sponsored disinformation, the latter being much more dangerous and threatening because of its far-reaching effects. In this regard, special attention should be made to, first, message appeals, whether they are rational or emotional, because manipulating messages most often target emotions. Second, message-sidedness, whether it is one-sided or double-sided, because one-sided messages lead to indoctrination and dogmatism, which are at the heart of disinformation and extremism. In fact, dogmatism makes it easy for cult-like leaders to have full control over their followers because these are devoid of the capacity to think independently and critically. In this regard, particular attention should be paid to the manipulative power of language and the role it plays in disinformation and propaganda, especially when it comes to polarizing people and nations by either being good or even or evil, setting an auto-proclaimed duty to fight what is named evil and acting in a unilateral way, especially in times of wars and social interests. This is why I perceive linguistic literacy as a key component of media information literacy for all. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, Dricia, thank you so much for your intervention, creating critical, creative, autonomous, independent thinkers through media and information literacy. Important points that you have shared with us. And again, we thank you for your commitment and the work that you're doing to push that agenda for media and information literacy among students, among tertiary level students globally. You know, there's the assumption sometimes that media and information literacy is for people who are not so quote unquote educated. But UNESCO, we have long learned that this, is misguided because we see that disinformation and misinformation affects and sometimes is generated by people with all sorts of backgrounds, social and educational background, and so that it's very necessary that we push that agenda for media and information literacy in tertiary education. And just say you've been a champion and your university for that, together with the city Mohammed Ben Abdallah University as well. That's not present here, but was also been very active with that. So thank you for your intervention. Again, if you're just joining us, you're at the right place. You have joined the UNESCO forum and exhibition on media and information literacy at the Dubai Expo. The theme is media and information literacy, building the resilience, people's resilience for the futures of learning technologies, transforming the way we learn, connect, associate, the way we engage in political and democratic affairs, how we engage in governance, peace building, and how we see the world around us and see others. Very important area. Thank you again for joining us. From all over the world, it's very difficult to start calling countries, but you're connected from all over the world. We welcome those who are in the Zoom, those on Facebook, or Facebook live stream, also on our MilkLeaks platform. So thank you so much again. Remember to post your questions. If you're in Zoom, use the question and response button to post your questions. I see some persons are already posting their questions. We're going to get to that section very, very soon. And if you're on Facebook, we are monitoring your post, or on MilkLeaks, you can also put your codes. At this time, we are going to show a short video summarizing some of the work that UNESCO has been doing to promote media and information literacy globally before we go to our next speaker, Ms. Professor Sami Thai.
Media and information literacy empowers people to think critically about information and use of digital tools. Media and information literacy helps people to make informed choices about how they participate in
I'm not
peaceful
seeing the video. I'm not sure if that's only
freedom
me.
of expression, access to information, and sustainable
I'm
development goals.
hearing, but I'm not seeing the video.
UNESCO.
We can see that video. It's on Facebook and I can see it on the Zoom as well.
Literacy
Okay, please. Okay.
across the globe. We do this through actions such as capacity building for various stakeholders, developing curricula for educators and learners to aid the integration of media and information literacy in all levels of education, assisting governments and institutions to formulate national media and information literacy policies and strategies, training journalists to promote media and information literacy to build trust in media, strengthening international cooperation and raising awareness through the UNESCO Media and Information Literacy Alliance, supporting youth organisations to integrate media and information literacy into their policies and operations, and become peer educators online, offering a suite of online media and information literacy courses, including ones for policymakers, undertaking research with the UNESCO Media and Information Literacy and Intercultural Dialogue University Network, organising the annual Global Media and Information Literacy Week. With this holistic approach and rich resources, we can help foster media and information literacy among people and communities across the globe. Here's how you can get involved in UNESCO's media and information literacy initiatives and make a real difference in society.
Thank you so much for that. Now you have seen some of our activities or global actions to promote media and information literacy, and you're hearing about some of them as well that we're working with from our partners. Our next speaker is no stranger to the field of media and information literacy. Also a partner of UNESCO for a very long time. We know if we are permitted to say that Professor Sami Thai, perhaps he's one of the grandparents of media and information literacy. We have individuals who have been working with UNESCO for several decades, literally, some 30, 40 decades, 30 to 40 years, sorry, 40 decades, wow. 30 to 40 years. You're not that old, Sammy, I'm very sorry, but 30 to 40 years. Who have been there from the very foundation of the Grunwald Declaration, which was founded by UNESCO in 1982, calling on government systems, education system, learning systems, calling on different stakeholders to increase people's capacities around media, around critical competencies around the media, long before the internet, as we know it today. And so, UNESCO is very happy to be partnering with the Cairo, University, for a very long time to promote media and information literacy. Professor Thai is also the president of Mentor International Media Education Association. So you'll be sharing with a little bit more about collaboration, Professor Thai, around media and information literacy. If you remember, we started out talking about the importance of innovation from the presentation of Mr. Tawfiq Jalassi, the Assistant Director General of UNESCO, and he spoke about the importance of innovation, collaboration, and inspiration. We heard from Estrella about plurality and diversity and respect as well. And we can add other important principles that will help us to achieve media and information literacy for all. Freedom of expression, someone also highlighted. So the floor is yours to speak to us about your experiences and case studies around cooperation and collaboration to promote media and information literacy globally.
Okay, good morning, everybody. And Initially, I would like to thank UNESCO, thank the organizers, and a special thanks for Dr. Alton Grizel, who has always been the inspirer and the innovators. And also, I would like to thank the UNESCO team, who has always been supportive and collaborative with us. Now, let me start my talk. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make a PowerPoint presentation because we were instructed to be limited to 8 minutes. And therefore, I'm going to talk only. People may think that media and information literacy is new, but that's not the case. Media education, which is a tool or the mechanism for media and information literacy, has always been there for long and for more than a century. By the turn of the 20th century, when cinema and film industry were introduced, and at this point of time, scholars in the area of sociology, they were worried about the negative effects of films and the screen on people. And therefore, they started to teach people about the difference between the fictional reality on a screen and the factual reality in the real life. These efforts were, of course, shown in the literature. And these efforts, which I may call them random efforts of media education, continued until 1982, as Alton just indicated, when Minister of Education gathered together in Grunwald in Western Germany at this time, and 13 ministers of education met together, and the meeting concluded to the issuance of Grunwald Declaration, which invited all 13 ministers to introduce media education in classes. This initiative, of course, was led by UNESCO, and as we all know, UNESCO has been the most important leading organization in the area of media and information literacy. For more than 40 years, UNESCO has been involved in this kind of business. The last initiative, which were supported by UNESCO, were the establishment of UNITWIN, which is a network of universities. I'm going to mention more detail about it in a minute. And that was established in Fez in Morocco in 2011. And that was followed also by another important initiative, which led to the establishment of UNESCO's Media and Information Literacy Alliance in Lagos, Nigeria, in 2013. Now I'm going to talk to you about another initiative, another exciting initiative, which was also supported by UNESCO. 12 partner universities agreed to form what we call the International Media and Information Literacy Institute. And these 12 partners, they came from different geographical areas, and they have all signed a very important agreement to collaborate and to establish the International Media and Information Literacy Institute, which will be a platform for collaboration among these 12 initial members in the area of media and information literacy. The institute is set up within the framework of UNESCO Media and Information Literacy and Intercultural Dialogue University Network, MILIT UNITWIN. It will also align with the mandate of UNESCO to raise global awareness of media and information literacy. The International Media and Information Literacy Institute will be designed on the basis of the feasibility study, which was supported and commissioned by UNESCO and prepared by a group of international experts. It will also function under the umbrella of MILIT UNITWIN Network Agreement signed with UNESCO in Fez in May 2011. The Institute will help to strengthen collaboration among the partner institutions in different areas related to media and information literacy. It will also collaborate with UNESCO's Media and Information Literacy Alliance, which was established in Lagos in 2013 by UNESCO in collaboration with other partners. Now, if I turn to the main objective of this new initiative, and I would call it a new exciting initiative, the Institute will act as an observatory for critically analyzing the role of media and information literacy as a catalyst for civic participation, democracy, and development, for the promotion of free, independent, and pluralistic media, as well as media and information literacy's contribution to the prevention and resolution of conflicts and intercultural tension and polarization. It will also enhance intercultural and cooperative research on media and information literacy, develop within the participating institutions, educational and media production practices that contributes to foster intercultural collaboration among these institutions. It will also promote global actions related to media and information literacy, promote and support other media initiatives that could reinforce civic participation. The institutes will also create a kind of advisory board, a steering committee, which will be formed from different parts of the world. And now if I turn to functions of the institute its functions: observatory, research mapping, capacity building, knowledge dissemination, assessing media and information literacy policies, and at the same time, the Institute will offer graduate programs, doctoral and master degrees to scholars from all over the world. Initially, the degree certificate will be issued from the Autonomous University of Barcelona. A process for the voluntary authentication and recognition by the institution, partner institutes will also be developed. The headquarters of the institute will be co-hosted by the Autonomous University of Barcelona in Spain, in collaboration with the Spanish Radio and Television Corporation and Cairo University in Africa. All the 12 universities, they have signed the agreement, and let me, before I conclude, to seize this opportunity to announce the formal launch of the institute. And here I would like to list the partner university who have already signed the agreement. From Spain, Autonomous University of Barcelona. From Egypt, Cairo University. From Japan, Hosei University. From the States, Philadelphia, Temple University. From Russia, Moscow State University, and from Egypt also the Arab Academy for Science, Technology, and Maritime Transport. From India, Punjab University. From Portugal, Minho University. From Mexico, University of Mexico. From Nigeria in Africa, University of Lagos. And then from Brazil, University of São Paulo. And from Australia, Western Sydney University. These were the 12 partner university, in addition to Spanish Radio and Television Corporation, as well as Marshall McLuhan Foundation in Canada. And that will conclude my talk to you this morning about this new exciting initiative. Thank you, Alton. Thank you, UNESCO, for giving me the chance to present this.
Thank you, Professor Thai, Sami, for giving us a little bit of history on the work on media and information literacy, but also to underline the activities of the UNESCO UNSC Media and Information Literacy and Intercultural Dialogue University Network, an important international collaboration that have borne much fruit, and this attempt for the university to integrate more their academic work through this academic institute is one that is encouraged to ensure deeper cooperation and thus greater and more sustainable impact in the work that we have been doing for many years. We have a couple of other videos that we want to share with you. Again, thank you for joining us. All the listeners, viewers, participants on Facebook, on Milkleaks, on Zoom, over 200 of you connected on different platforms, French, English, Arabic. We welcome you are contributing to this melting pot of knowledge around media and information literacy at the Dubai Expo. We want to move rapidly. The time is moving to our next speaker, which is going to be Professor Jun. Professor Jun is from the Oze University. He's a professor at the Department of Lifelong Learning and Career Studies. He's joined also by his colleague, Professor Kyoko Murakami. Understand the presentation will be delivered by Professor Sakamoto. Jun, the floor is yours, Jun. We want to hear from you more about what is happening in Japan in the context of media and information literacy and digital citizenship education. Japan is one of the UNESCO partners who have been financing our work. We are thankful to Japan supporting a project focusing on Africa, on media and information literacy for youth, civic engagement. And we are thankful for many of our donors, our longtime donors around the world as well, the European Commission, CEDA, Sweden, and other partners, Saudi Arabia, who have supported the work that we're doing around the world. Again, we're calling for more donors, to join forces to support UNESCO's work. So the floor is yours, Jun, please. 8 minutes.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, we're hearing you now.
Okay. Thank you for inviting us to this forum today. We would like to speak according to the main purpose of the forum: innovation, collaboration, and inspiration. First, on the innovation front, we have witnessed the innovation in information and communication technology at the pace previously unimaginable. However, such innovation do not always reveal what is true. For example, in Japan, as in other countries, the COVID-19 pandemic caused a major problem with disinformation. Many schools and universities were forced to offer online education. However, the most serious problem is that computer use in elementary and secondary school in Japan is notably low among OECD member countries. Therefore, the Japanese government has accelerated the implementation of the one-to-one tablet PC plan by the end of the academic year 2020. Although many local governments and schools have not yet ready for this plan, and only 40% of school boarders allow students to take tablet PCs home for use. It is necessary for students to acquire ICT skills and the ability to evaluate the reliability of online information to deal with this information. This is because some Japanese schools, including UNESCO-associated schools, may not yet teach students how to evaluate the reliability of online information. So how do we teach children to evaluate the reliability of online information? There are three things we would like to suggest. First is the CRAP test to check the objective reliability of information source developed by the American Library Association. However, this method is not enough. Second is the 5 key questions of media literacy developed by the Center for Media Literacy in America. Since I teach MIR classes for school children and train school teachers and librarians, I translated the craft test and the 5 key questions of media literacy for school teachers who have to acquire sufficient knowledge of MIR into easy to understand Japanese. Finally, we teach a method called lateral reading, developed by the Stanford University History Education Group as a way to examine the reliability of information using computers. I have had classes using this method at our Japanese junior high school. This video shows my class. I gave class in the school library. This MI method was also introduced at the teacher training organized by the MIL for Malaysia Philippine Network in August 2021. I also teach fact-checking in the library training course at the university. Fact-checking is taught according to a guideline developed by the Fact-Checking Initiative, Japan. There was a general election in Japan in the autumn of 2021. The students selected information that were widely disseminated during the general election and fact-checked them. While this is a great experience for students and their challenge, but many of them choose information about the candidate of the opposition parties. This was because there were many posts on social media, whether true or not, that attempt to discredit the opposition candidate. In Japan, it is said that dedicated supporters of the ruling party are systematically circulating information that condemns the opposition party. Therefore, teaching fact-checking is not enough to help students understand the whole picture of online information. For this reason, we need to work with journalists who are working for press freedom and democracy. This is the second theme of this forum collaboration. In 2020 and 2021, students from Hosei University, Dosha University, Musashi University, and others collaborated to organize teach-in on the theme of the freedom of speech and MIR. They invited journalists to discuss the issue. Because the meeting was conducted online, this type of activity can easily be done even when each participant is far away from the other. We are sure that there will be another online teaching by students this year. A third theme is inspiration. The Media Research Institute of Smart News in Japan, and we have developed a social media simulator called Share Game, which is being used in various classes from junior high school to universities. This is one of the questions of the Share Game. Look at the picture of the snow pyramid on the right. We ask students to consider the reliability of this image. We have also conducted classes in which students use a smartphone to think about news headline. As you can see in a photo, this class utilizes a school library. Finally, I would like to report on digital citizenship education in Japan. We published a book, Digital Citizenship, in December 2020, and the second book, Digital Citizenship Plus, will be published in next month. Our first book is selling well, and data education is about to be implemented in various local boards of education and schools. This includes media and information literacy. This movement is also having an impact on Japanese education policy. Japanese Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communication is planning to include MIR and data systems in its new education policy. This is good news. I will finish my report. Thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Sakamoto. Jun, thank you for the cooperation, UNESCO. You have again reminded us of the lost pearl of great price, as I like calling it, you know, which is reading and libraries. Sometimes we focus a lot on digital technologies and on media, and we forget about the power of libraries and reading, the lost pearl of great price. And you have brought back that pearl of great price to us with your initiative, the CRAP test, which I like that very much, you know, because if it doesn't pass the test, it means it's crap. You know, currency, it's an acronym for currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. And this is what UNESCO's media and information literacy framework is about, to put information and different content that we engage with to the test, applying media and information literacy competencies. Now we're going to show a very rapid video before we go to our final speaker, last but not least at all, Dr. Mariano Lamira, who is again another partner of UNESCO. I'll speak more about Mariano shortly, but we show a short video on the UNESCO resource, the UNESCO, we don't want to call it a resource, but it's a way of living and a way of engaging. It's this tool that is called Media and Information Literate Citizens, critically thinking wisely. So thank you. My colleagues will show the video, very short video, less than 2 minutes.
The way we create and consume information has changed significantly in recent years. Today, more than half of the world's population, including over 70% of all youth globally, are online. But how can we make sure that all information is used for public good? To promote dialogue and respect, support SDGs and democracy, and empower lifelong learners, instead of breeding hate speech, disinformation, fake news, and privacy violations. Media and information literacy is designed to combat these challenges and enable people to better benefit from positive opportunities. It gives individuals the skills to interpret and understand information, to think critically and click wisely, both on and offline. UNESCO has launched the second edition of the MIL curriculum for educators and learners. It provides a comprehensive framework for information, media, and digital competencies, so individuals can spot misinformation and engage positively in society. It's not just a framework, but a foundation to live by. To help make sense of ever-changing information-based influences by becoming media and information literate citizens, we are empowered to make the right choices. Learn more about media and information literacy and how it can support citizens to think critically and click wisely, on and offline.
Thank you so much for watching that video. You can access the resource online and soon to come in multiple languages. We're also looking for partnerships to translate this resource, this way of living in local languages. So please contact UNESCO if you are interested to partner. Again, we thank again our last speaker, but by no means least, Dr. Mariana Lamira, who is a researcher at the Communication and Society Research Center in the University of Minho in Portugal. Dr. Lamira is also a part of Senior Academic Fellow at the United Nations University Operating Unit, which focuses on policy-driven electronic governance. Electronic governance bears much resemblance to media and information literacy, and we have been partnering with the United Nations University eGov Center or unit on making that connection between mail and governance processes and bringing mail into the concept and thrust of electronic governance. With that, the floor is yours. Mariana, please enlighten us with your own experience and perspectives.
Thank you so much, Alton. That's exactly it. Thank you so much for the introduction, and good morning or good afternoon to everyone attending this forum. Congratulations to the organizers, of course, and a particular word of gratitude to UNESCO and its collaborators and partners all over the world. My warm regards from a member or part of the UN family, that is the Operating Unit on Policy-Driven Electronic Governance, UNUEGov, and also my greetings from the University of Minho in Portugal, where I do research now. I am very, very grateful for the opportunity and the invitation, and to be here with you today and to share the floor here with distinguished colleagues from all over the world. And also to discuss a topic that is so important for all of us nowadays. So the proposed theme guiding us here today, media and information literacy, building resilience for the futures of learning, is a complex and a challenging one, particularly nowadays when we are constantly faced with challenges that technology brings to society in general, with issues related with disinformation, data privacy, artificial intelligence, machine learning, speech polarization, and the list goes on and on and on. It's even hard to mention all the issues that now revolutionize the way we access to information, we deal with information, and that we share the information. So we need competencies, we need skills and competencies definitely to help us deal with all of this. And this is for everyone, regardless of age, regardless of any personal characteristics. But if we recognize the importance, the need, the urgency, I would say, to foster media and information literacy for all, we also need to recognize that many stakeholders have a role to play in this regard. So that many target groups need to be addressed. And in this short intervention of mine, I would like to focus on this. Likewise, that these groups and these stakeholders act in different settings. And this is why we talk about meal in formal, non-formal, and informal settings. And this is clearly stated for us in the 2013 publication from UNESCO, Meal Policy and Strategy Guidelines, that we all know very well. So here is the moment when we need to bear in mind that meal is included in different areas. We need to include media and technology related organizations, media regulatory bodies, libraries and other memory institutions, as Alton and other colleagues reminded us and very well, government entities, formal education, including teachers, including librarians, including researchers, non-formal education and continuing education. And also another aspect that we need to keep in mind is the integration of meal strategies with other strategies. And I will come back to this idea, so please keep this in mind. Notwithstanding, considering that we are now in a panel dedicated to media and information literacy for lifelong learning, We must emphasize formal education and the plethora of agents. We need to include ministries of education, library of associations, teachers' councils, school boards, and so on. And why formal education? Because of its power to transform. So this is why we focus on formal education, because it is central for young generations, and it is central for them to give them the necessary tools to take part and contribute for active and resilient communities. And they will be those communities. They will give them identity and legitimacy. So they will be the future. Education shapes their values, and education shall be of quality if we want to account for societies harmonized with the Sustainable Development Goals. And to this end, the newly published resource that was mentioned in the video that we just saw is a mandatory reference. Worldwide, there are also amazing initiatives. It's wonderful to see how many examples, how many good practices we find all over the world. Just a few examples, some examples, 5 to be specific. First example, Media Smarts in Canada, a nonprofit organization developing digital media literacy programs and resources for Canadian homes, schools, and communities. If we go to the website, we find an amazing collection of resources for parents, but also for teachers. And for parents, we find guides, interesting guides with information, with tips to support young people in their digital lives and to help them to cope with digital issues like cyberbullying, sexting, online privacy, just to mention a few. And for teachers, there is also an interesting resource. If they are looking for something specific or specific teaching units and classroom activities for media education, they can find it there, choosing the grade, choosing the topic they want to approach, cybersecurity, digital health, or just excessive internet use, for example. Online ethics, it's a topic that we also find there. So they can, there's a tailored offer in their website. Second example, the Center for Media Literacy, that is an educational organization providing leadership, public education, professional development, and evidence-based educational resources nationally and internationally. This is an organization working with a vision of literacy for the 21st century. Another example, the third one, the Youth for Human Rights Education Package that is offered as an aid to educators who teach youths up to 16 years old in the context of a classroom or in another context. And it was prepared by a nonprofit organization called Youth for Human Rights International. The fourth example, now, there are initiatives from the Internet Society, as for example, the recent agreement with the Ministry of Innovation and Technology of Ethiopia to help advance the country's digital economy and economic transformation. This partnership supports the implementation of the country's digital strategy, Ethiopia, and it helps to expand connectivity to rural areas, because we know that this is a problem, a persisting problem, trying to build internet infrastructure and strengthen internet governance. These are just some good practices that I would like to bring to the floor now and to the discussion to trigger the discussion. And these examples help us to see how much and how diverse initiatives, actions can be. And the ultimate goal is, as Divina from IGES once wrote, that we need to encourage critical and creative thinking in the minds of students while responding to their curiosity. Now, remember when I said I would come back to an idea previously? When referring to Meal strategies. I mentioned that we need to bear in mind that meal is included in different areas, and that meal needs to be integrated in other strategies. And for that, we need necessarily to go back and see policymakers and government officials as part of the target groups. Governments are actually also duty bearers in preparing meal policies and strategies, as we commonly also know. They are responsible for that according to a common vision, according to shared values, of course, but they also need to know about meal. They also need to incorporate meal in their reasoning, in their thoughts. And with this objective in mind, I would like to draw the attention for the MOOC previously mentioned by Alton and by Professor Santiago Tejedor. And this Media and Information Literacy Massive Open Online course for government officials and policymakers was prepared in partnership with UNESCO, with the Autonomous University of Barcelona and other partners, precisely with a focus on these two perspectives that I just shared with you. It is focused on a multi-view and case study oriented approach, aiming at guiding on national meal policies and strategies development, but also in contextualizing meal in relation to the policy-making process and other development issues such as the SDGs. And this shows how media and information literacy is something for all, and how small or not so small pieces make the difference and can help us on the way. Thank you very much for listening to me and for your patience. The floor is now yours again, Alton. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Mariana Lamira there from the United Nations University eGov unit for your intervention and for sharing what many partners around the world are doing to promote media and information literacy. There is a plethora of resources available across the globe, and UNESCO will be launching a platform, as I mentioned, to curate and to bring many of these together. It's a good time to share with you short videos before we get into the discussion section on the UNESCO Media and Information Literacy Alliance. All right.
Since 2013, the UNESCO Media and Information Literacy Alliance has brought global communities together, promoting international cooperation to advance media and information literacy for all. Spanning over 100 countries, the Alliance has more than 700 member organisations. Member organisations are committed to advocating for the development of media and information literacy, supporting the articulation of national media and information literacy policies, and collaborating to reduce duplication and fragmentation. Driven by UNESCO and partners with support from an international steering committee, regional chapters, youth ambassadors and thematic working groups, the UNESCO Media and Information Literacy Alliance coordinates activities at the global, regional and national levels. The Media and Information Literacy and Intercultural Dialogue University Network is a research arm of the Alliance. Youth are co-leaders in the Alliance network as peer educators through the UNESCO MilClicks initiative. You can access hundreds of learning resources on media and information literacy by following MilClicks social media pages. Join the UNESCO Media and Information Literacy Alliance as an individual or an organisation. Get involved now.
Thank you so much. We're going to move rapidly. Thank you for your questions. You have heard from 7 dynamic speakers who have connected their minds and their experiences and have expanded our minds about the importance of media and information literacy. The first question, a question to pose to our first speaker, Estrella, our youth representative. There's a question for you here. How can media and information literacy for lifelong learning address mental issues and aid speech in the pandemic situation? Do you want to respond to that question quickly, 1 minute? We want to get in as many questions as possible.
Yes.
Estrella.
Yes, thank you, Alton. Well, first of all, is like I said before, to hear young people what happened in that period, in the pandemic period, but also talk, share, and discuss about the problems that the young people passed. Be creators as well their own digital products. They have to create their products, but with this um, with this different kind of view, like what will happen, what we experiment in this period, and or in which way we can share with others. The way of communicate to others is important. That's why media information literacy is important to put together lifelong learning skills and as well media information literacy. So maybe it's only share something basic in the way to create their own digital products, but with a resilient way.
Thank you, Estrella. Professor Santiago, if you're still there, and Christina, thank you also for your intervention. You have also done research in the area of gamification and AI. Can you, there's a question for you. How can AI be used in promoting media and information literacy? Could you respond to that question? How can AI and games be used to promote media and information literacy? Do you know of some examples of what is happening in that area?
Yes, the thing is that one of the things most important about that is that we have to train this AI with media literacy parameters. I think that is very important that AI have been defined and trained by engineers and not taking in account the criteria of media and information literacy. And this is the next step that we have to do. Now we have researched some types of the AI in this sense in journalism, quality journalism, and we identified media and information literacy as a key strategy to face disinformation, to face all these challenges that we have. And we need to strengthen this collaboration between engineers and experts of media and information literacy for giving this next step. I think is one of the future challenges that we have to begin to work now. And we have some examples that we are developing now with Research National Fund, with also Public Television in Spanish, that we are now beginning the developing of a verification tool considering this parameter of media and information literacy and use of the AI for giving this task of verification.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Christina. Santiago, do you want to add anything on that?
I'm so sorry for Santiago because there is an urgent matter and he has to leave and he has apologized that cannot be here now.
We're happy that you're here with us, Christina. Dricia, you spoke to us earlier about media and information literacy, Professor Schut in higher education, and there's a question for you. How does media and information literacy empower students in their everyday academic and professional handling of media, information, and digital technology? Could you respond to that in 1 minute? What are some of the highlights that you have experienced with media and information literacy empowering students in their everyday academic and professional handling of media, information, and digital technology?
Thank you, Alton. Well, this has to do with being aware of the process of doing research in a purposeful way, first to identify what type of information needed, and then to be able to locate and access the needed information, because if you locate it and you don't access it, you will not be able to use it. And this is applicable both to online and offline and use of libraries. Then the ability to evaluate the content in terms of authority, accuracy, currency, fairness, impartiality, and intellectual honesty. And the ability to use critical thinking vis-a-vis one's own self, and how one reasons, because the way we evaluate others depends whether our own reasoning is sound, logical, harmonious, and rational. Because if our own way of reasoning is not that rational, we will evaluate the content to which we are exposed in a biased way. So this leads us to mindedness. And when we talk about critical thinking skills, it is not to destroy, it is not to have a negative attitude, it is to evaluate fairly, to highlight the points, and then to be able to find research gaps, what is not mentioned, what is lacking. And this puts students on the path to creativity. In fact, it is when you will discover that something is an issue is not dealt with when you discover the limitations, that you will look for the solutions. So critical thinking skills applies also to technology, because these students use technology, and they should have algorithm literacy, not be used by technology. They should pay particular attention to technology and algorithm biases that direct to. So it is full agency, responsibility.
Thank you so much, Professor Shute. Very well said. Quite a mouthful. I don't know you got all that in. Sound, rational reasoning as a part of media and information literacy for students. Looking at the research gap and considering issues around algorithmic literacy and AI literacy. Thank you so much. Quite a mouthful. We're going to move rapidly to our next speaker. Question for you, Professor Sami Thai. Sami, you spoke a bit about this academic Mill Institute for the UNESCO and UNAOC Mill Network, Media and Information Literacy University Network, and how that will deepen. How do you see that this institute will be linked to, for example, other networks around the world? For example, how will it be linked and connected to the UNESCO Media and Information Literacy Alliance? Question for you.
Thank you, Alton. As you know, when we started, establishing the UNITWIN network, the number of partner university was very limited and very small. And we tried to do the same kind of strategy with the Mill Institute. Mill Institute is an institute which will be under the umbrella of UNITWIN, and it will collaborate very closely with UNESCO as Media and Information Literacy Allies. Therefore, it is something which came out of these important network. Therefore, I think that even at the same time, the door will be open for other partners from the UNITWIN network and UNESCO's Media and Information Literacy Alliance to join, right?
So, all right, thank you so much for that, and thank you for being brief. Jun Sakamoto, a question for you and your interesting presentation, bringing in libraries as an important part of the work of media and information literacy. And the question goes like this: people who cannot read or write words are also using smartphones. In fact, this is quite an interesting question. People who cannot read or write well, write words, are also using smartphones. We spoke about earlier the forgotten pearl of great price, reading and libraries. In other words, literacy education and media and information literacy education can be implemented at the same time, all right? Do you know of similar projects that exist in Japan or other countries that are trying to combine basic literacy education with media and information literacy education? Jun, please, the floor is yours, or your colleague Kyoko can also jump in to respond to that question.
I couldn't include it today's presentation, but my students are doing digital storytelling production with the runner at the school who the illiterate, so who can understand Japanese, who come from the other countries, and the elderly people who couldn't go to the school. It's a literacy class, but we combine the media education and the literacy education. Well, this is another project. So, and Kyoko can talk about this.
Well, in this case, like the people who the elder people or foreign people who live in Japan who do not speak or who can speak little Japanese but do not read Japanese, they have some problem anyway. But they want to learn like a basic language. In this case, Japanese. So many Japanese students, college students who are well literate, they are having interviewed to them, and then they try to make a digital storytelling of them. Why? That they want to know the process of learning, like Japanese language, or have to use like a cell phone. And then they want, university students want to make their own story to make their digital storytelling. This is one of the projects or some of the activity we are doing now.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Kyoko, for your inputs on that. Important points in digital storytelling to combine basic literacy with media and information literacy, and also considering a multilingual approach in integrating media and information literacy in language learning. Our final speaker that we heard just from now, Lamira, Mariana, there's a question for you. We're focusing today a lot on teachers and students and young people on media and information literacy at the Dubai Expo, and how we need to engage teachers and young people and students in media and information literacy learning. You have shared many creative ideas, but then a couple of you have also underlined the urgency to involve policymakers if we are going to reach more teachers and students, and this MOOC deep dive for policymakers in media and information literacy was mentioned as a collaboration. Mariana, the question to you is, how can we convince public officials, to enroll in this MOOC, and government officials, and that is worth their time? What is the recommendations from the United Nations University eGov?
Well, actually, Alton, thank you so much. The biggest challenge now is to bring people and to enroll in the course, because actually the most difficult thing is to make them think that this is worth their time. But for us, it is very clear, because on the one hand, policymakers operationalize MIL. So they are the ones who, according to a vision, and of course, government will, they will set the grounds for media and information literacy. But on the other hand, if they recognize the dangers and the opportunities of the use of technologies in nowadays media environments, they will understand how MIL can be a tool to help them deal with that, and also to be advocates of MIL and contribute for a better community, a resilient community, and an accountable community with participatory decision making. So this is not an easy task, and there is not a straightforward answer to that. But for me, is this flipped approach for them to recognize that they are the ones responsible for operationalizing MIL, and on the other hand, because if they are as critical citizens and as active citizens on their own, if they recognize the importance of MIL to deal with contemporary issues, they will recognize the importance. So this is more or less the strategy.
Thank you so much. And so you have responded to that question from a participant. Another question here, and I will read it in French. It is written in French. We have translators. We're thankful to our translators who are helping us to connect across languages and across countries. And this question goes like this. It says, dans certain pays,
in some countries where there are digital laws that impose restrictions on freedom of expression, and MIL is only limited to awareness raising, and there's a risk of imprisonment for infringement, how can people really get out of the situation and fully participate as citizens?
They're asking, there are countries with challenges in terms of freedom of expression, different laws. There are many risks, in promoting and participating in certain activities. And they're asking, how can young people deal with these issues? What sort of programs can be developed to engage with young people and citizens, who are in different countries with different types of governance systems, and when there are challenges in terms of freedom of expression. Anyone wants to respond to this question?
Well, this is a very...
Okay,
go ahead, please, Jusia.
This is a very challenging question because it deals with the fundamental freedoms and rights of access to information, and many times we have it enshrined in the constitutions of countries, but it is not enacted and it is circumvented. People should deal with it with caution, because in fact they are under the threat from these governments, and so for their own personal development, they should compare and contrast experiences with others and move gradually so that they can be the change makers in their societies.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wants to take this question to give a response? There was another voice coming in. Was that Sami Thai?
Yes, please. What I would like to say here, I would like to say that the concept of freedom of expression varies from one country to the other. And what we can say here that is one man's meat is another man's poison. Therefore, I think, for young people, when we talk about freedom of expression, I think we shouldn't take it as a kind of absolute conception, but it is a relative conception which varies from one country to the other. And that may lead us to the respect for cultural diversity, and at the same time that the need to foster intercultural dialogue so that we can understand each other and to know what does freedom of expression mean in Egypt or in other parts of the world or in England or wherever. That's what I want to say briefly about this.
All right, thank you. And then thank you so much for that question again. Media and information literacy is related, as speakers have pointed out, to promoting media access to information and freedom of expression, and to tie that in with the issue of a dialogue and peace. UNESCO, freedom of expression, access to information, these are priority programs and actions across entire UNESCO, not just in the communication information sector. There are many international standards and norms around media and information literacy, and tools and resources that UNESCO has developed. In fact, as a part of the middle curriculum, you will see too that there is a resource that is called a toolkit for learning about freedom of expression. So there are many resources that we're developing, working at the different levels of regulatory policy, but also capacity enhancement for different stakeholders group as a fundamental part of promoting human rights, which is the thrust of UNESCO. It's human rights to promote and to push the agenda of peace and human solidarity around the world. We're almost out of time. There is another question here, someone commending UNESCO on a job well done. A partner here from Nigeria, don't want to call all the names. You're connected from all over the world, over 200 of you. And he mentioned the importance of engaging radio stations in promoting media and information literacy. He actually pointed out that he is an accidental journalist, that he studied chemistry. In fact, with UNESCO, we have a tool that is called Media and Information Literacy in Journalism, a handbook for journalists and journalism educators. And we encourage you to check that out. He asks about how you can get engaged with UNESCO to promote media and information literacy through radio. Please, you can make contact with us. You go to our website, you can see different emails and you can find us. We're ready to work with you. Someone asked about the MIL curriculum, if it's available in French. Yes, it's being translated right now. And so in a couple of weeks, it will be available in French, Spanish. It's been translated in Russian as well. In Myanmar language, it will be available in all the 6 official languages of UNESCO. And we're also looking for partnerships to translate this in all the other local languages, including in Arabic. So we welcome cooperation from anyone who wants to work with us. With that, I think we have posed all the questions. There are some other questions to pose, but we're very much out of time. So we want to just end by hearing from the speakers just 15 to 20 seconds. What is that one point that you would like to leave our partners with? We're connected, over 200 partners around the world connected on different platforms for this important event, forum, and exhibition on media and information literacy to build the resilience of the futures of learning. What is the one point that you want to drive home and to leave for it to be indelibly engraved on the minds of our partners? We want to start again with with the last speaker, Mariana, and we will go in reverse. Mariana, the floor is yours.
Okay, okay, no problem. Just to remind everyone that media and information literacy is for all, and it's part of a lifelong learning process. And all of us in our different roles and different professional environments need to bear this in mind, and particularly government officials and policy makers for their public responsibility and the need to be accountable and to be responsible towards citizens. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. So we move again in reverse. Kyoko, do you have 15 seconds, a point that you want to drive home?
Okay. For the situation of Japan, like many people don't have many opportunity to learn MYL. So I wanted to, or ask them to create a channel or a platform or a cleaning house to sharing the information, teaching material, and good practice. I think UNESCO is a good thing, but we need a kind of language translation also. So we want to share that kind of platform also. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. A clearinghouse, a platform, so UNESCO is working on a platform exactly as you described, but not only UNESCO, but we're linking that with all our partners around the world. Mm-hmm. All right, so you'll be hearing more about that. It will be a multilingual platform as well. So continue in reverse. June, 15 seconds.
We are having media and information forum with Korea and Philippines and Malaysia. It's Asian area. We are having a forum, and we other countries, and this is our another project. So.
Okay, thank you. Sami Thai, do you have something you want to leave? The final point, 10 seconds.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'm going to add my voice to Mariana Media and information literacy is for all. Media and information literacy is one of the most important mechanisms to counter stereotypes, mechanism, and to foster intercultural dialogue.
Dricia.
Now is the time to make of media information literacy the driving force for inclusive peace, participatory democracy, and sustainable development. Media information literacy is an urgent need and a basic human right to be accessible and empowering for all as an integral part of quality, transformative education for all.
Thank you so much, Dricia. Media and information literacy, a fundamental human rights for all. Christina, 10 seconds.
Yes, thanks. I'm agree with all the statements that my colleagues preview share, but I would like to highlight the importance that media and information literacy can be the framework also of the advancement of the technologies, for instance, in artificial intelligence. It's very important because the framework of media and information literacy should guide this advancement of technologies that are affecting our human lives.
And then we end where we started with Estrella Munoz, Dr. Estrella Munoz, our youth representative.
Thank you, Alton. I want to finish with something that Sigmund Bauman says. Real dialogue isn't about talking to people who believe the same things as you. So we have to learn to live together in the interconnected and multicultural world. So we have to practice pluralism, youth participation, and civic participation.
Wow, thank you so much. What a note to end on. Real dialogue is not only talking to persons that believe the same thing as you. This is what media and information literacy is all about. It challenges us to contemplate our own thinking, our own biases, why we believe what we believe, and how we come to believe what we believe and learn what we learn. And so thank you. All UNESCO wants to thank the speakers. Thank you for this melting pot of knowledge that you have shared. We want to thank the Dubai Expo and local partners, you know, in the Ministry of Culture and the UNESCO National Commission for UNESCO and the United Arab Emirates for their support in hosting this event at the Dubai Expo. Our partners at the UN agency, the UN hub, also there in Dubai for the expo, we, you know, coordinating our virtual exhibition, which is being projected on a big screen there at the Dubai Expo. We want to thank all the participants for listening to us, for your contributions, the points that you shared, the questions you asked. We're sorry that we're out of time, but we can continue the dialogue online. We also want to thank the interpreters who have helped to connect us across languages and countries, the UNESCO team, technical team, all the colleagues who have been involved in planning this important event on media and information literacy to build people's resilience for futures of learning at the Dubai Expo. Again, thank you so much. Let's continue the dialogue. Engage with us. As we mentioned, the forum continues. The dialogue continues on our MilClicks platform on the UNESCO social media channels. All right, you know, become a MilClicker by signing the MilClicks Pact. Go to our website and sign the MilClicks Pact. Become a MilClicker so that we can continue this dialogue to share resources. And then finally, also start getting ready for two events, one coming in May, on May 18th and 19th, which is the UNESCO World Higher Education Conference, where media and information literacy will also be a central theme. And our partners in the UNESCO Mill Alliance and the University Network are planning a number of events, so you'll be hearing more about that. And also start preparing for the Global Media and Information Literacy Week celebration. The theme for Global Media and Information Literacy Week 2022, which is being hosted by Nigeria, is Nurturing Trust. Nurturing Trust, a media and information literacy imperative. Nurturing trust a media and information literacy imperative. With that, let us continue together. Let us continue with innovation, collaboration, and inspiration to change the minds and lives and hearts of people around the world and to achieve human solidarity. This is what UNESCO stands for, and this is what media and information literacy is all about. Thank you very much, and let's continue to stand and work together so that we can be stronger. With this, we are at the end of our session, and we look forward to working with you.